I'm Daneil Mason-Jones, and you are watching Beauty and Style Network.
Hey, Daneil, it's so good to be here.
Hello.
Okay, so I just want to say I'm so thankful for this day that I've had with you.
So fun.
Being in your home is like this really weird, like dream experience for me. So I'm so happy to be here. So thank you so much for opening up your home. But I was telling Jody this earlier when you were dealing with something at the salon. But yeah. I was talking to Jody and I was telling him on the way down here, Mark and I were talking about how I think it was about 2 years ago we recorded on the podcast. And I remember being like, this is my big break. Like, I was like, I can't believe that this person has agreed to record it with me.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you're just, everything's so sweet. And then when we talked, I was like, I just feel like I've known this person my entire life. Like, I just couldn't get enough. And so I'm so happy to be here in person and together. So thank you so much for that. But
I feel the same way. You're so cool.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited to talk to you kind of about your story. I know a lot of people know you as this very successful business leader. You give so much to this industry. You're just one of the people that I think, especially right now, you've been doing this for years, especially right now, you've been giving back so much. And I know that that's something that's so important to you. So I know everyone can take classes with you and stuff, but I really wanted to take this time when I was thinking about what I wanted to do with you. How was I going to use this? I want to highlight you and just kind of do a little bit about your backstory, you know, kind of where you came from, how you got to where you are today. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up. You grew up in Georgia?
No,
okay.
I grew up in South Carolina, still here in the South. I grew up in a small town called Easley, South Carolina, which is just right outside of Greenville. And I feel like a Georgia native. I've been here since 1997. I have to think about that. I've been here longer in Georgia than I actually was in South Carolina now. And, but yes, I'm from there. And I came to Atlanta, oh gosh, a long time ago to pursue my dreams of becoming a funeral director and embalmer. So there was a college here that I would always read about and I'd heard about it. I was like, I have to go to this school. And so that's what ultimately brought me to Georgia. So
what, as a child, were you like, I want to work with dead people someday? Like when, like, what were you
exactly like that? But
what were you like as a kid?
I was definitely a fun kid. I was shy. That's something people probably would never know about me. I was a shy kid. And I think it was just because I didn't really know who I was, or maybe I didn't know how to fit into the situations or wherever I was. So that came with time. I think a lot of people struggle with like social awkwardness. I was no exception to the rule. But anyway, so as a kid, my grandmother passed away when she died 9 days before my third birthday. And she was such a special lady. She was sweet. And I remember I have so many memories about her. And people were like, you can remember being 2 years old? I'm like, I can. And everything from getting strawberry milkshakes with her on Sunday after church. And she had a blue car that had one front seat, no seat belts. But I remember all these things about her. And so she passed away, and my family did the best they could navigating that with the child. And they were like, oh, so your grandmother, she's asleep. And so I remember going to the funeral home and I saw her in a casket, or I saw it at that time as a box, and everybody was crying. I'm like, so when I lay down to take a nap, do you put me in a box and put flowers around me and cry also? I couldn't comprehend.
It's so confusing.
And so this funeral director pulled me aside into one of the viewing rooms and just kind of like, my family were friends with them. And he pulled me aside and told me that my grandmother had become an angel. And that made way more sense to me as a child. And so I think he was almost a hero in my eyes at that time. And so then as I progressed through my childhood, I wanted to be that. I wanted to be somebody that could offer hope or answers to people that needed that. So that's what ultimately got me into the funeral business.
It's so Daneil Mason-Jones of you to, even as a child, connect with somebody at 3 years old to be like, oh, this was formative and I'm going to take something from that. Like, it seems like this has just been in you always. So what was like high school like for you? Were you in sports? Were you like, what hobbies did you have?
So I was not in sports. We actually practiced a religion that was, sports were forbidden.
Okay.
So all of our energies and attention were to go toward our faith.
Okay.
And so sports, and we would have to dress out. So you had to wear like gym clothes, meaning short sleeves, short pants. And we did not dress like that. So we were very conservative.
Did you go to like a traditional elementary school, high school, all of that?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I was the only one until my 12th grade year where I recruited everybody to our religion. And I was tired of being alone.
Yeah.
But no, so I actually did ROTC in school. And so that was my extracurricular. So I did Navy ROTC for 3 years. And I did that. They allowed me to wear, on the days that we had to wear our khaki uniform that was short sleeve, I would wear my service blue, which was long sleeve. But I did that. My personality, I've always loved everybody. There's always cliques. In life today, we have cliques, right?
Yeah.
Even in our salons, we have cliques, color brand cliques. You have all this stuff. I hate cliques. And so I hung out, I'm from the South, so I hung out with the cowboys. I hung out with they called them the freaks. I hung out with the goth people, the nerds. I hung out with everybody because everybody had such value to add. And so I never had like a direct home of people. I just loved everybody. Overall, high school was good for me. I did encounter bullying like anybody else, but I always showed up and just loved people extra aggressively. When the times got rough with bullying, I would either cut school for the day, or I would cut lunch. Our school was 3 stories. And sometimes when the kids started doing whatever they would do, I would hide underneath the stairway at school, which was okay. I actually learned to save my lunch money that way. And I started using my lunch money for other things. In ROTC, we had community service, and I would take my lunch money and buy flowers from Walmart. I'm really from a small town. I would buy trays of flowers, and I would go to the nursing homes and plant those flowers outside of the patients' rooms so that they could enjoy flowers. And I realized started to get to know these people, and I was like, I'm not any different than them. They're older than I am, but people have forgotten them, or they don't have value in community either. So, yeah, long and short.
So your experience kind of like being in something that required so much discipline, do you think that kind of just went along with like this faith that you were being, like you were used to very much like structure and
everything
rules.
was rigid.
So going into ROTC, was it just kind of like
I actually love
to
structure.
You? Yeah.
I crave structure, and it could be a dynamic from how I was raised.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that, I grew up in a home that was disciplined. We went to bed at a certain time. We woke up at a certain time. We went to church 5 times a week at the same time.
Yeah.
We ate at the same time. And then I was in ROTC. And so I've always craved. And then the type of religion that we had a lot of rules. So I've always grown up around rules. As an artist, people are like, I hate rules. I'm like, I still love rules.
Yeah.
I don't really speed a whole lot of 5 miles over, so if the flight attendant says, keep your seat, I sit in my seat. I don't get up and challenge them.
Yeah.
So I like rules. I like discipline. Rules keep us safe and whatever. So yeah.
So do you think that overflowed then into like how you have built everything that you've built? I mean, it seems like things all like there's systems in place, right? So
and if you can't discipline yourself, you can't achieve things.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes so much sense to me.
If you're a horse and you're a wild horse and you're being trained for dressage and you want to go run around the field, you'll never learn how to jump. Yeah. So you have to be disciplined and trained in order to get to where you need to be.
Yeah. So those are definitely benefits that came out of, I mean, it's just, those
There's
things are
something wonderful
in
everything.
Yes. And it's just finding those things, I think.
Yes.
So how old were you when you left home, when you moved away? How old
I
were you?
was 19 years old when I left.
Yeah. And you came to Atlanta directly or, okay.
Yeah. It was it was not an easy transition. So we were poor. My family, my mom and dad worked so hard. They're great people. My dad's no longer here. And I wanted to go to college. We did not have college savings. It was just not a thing for us. So I worked at Walmart as a cashier. So fun. I worked at the funeral home, and I also worked at Dillard's shoe department selling shoes, which I became a really good salesperson. And they paid great commission. And so all those opportunities allowed me to learn customer service and experience. But I was saving my money to go to college. And this was before the internet days.
And this is before you moved to Atlanta, or this is when you got here?
Yeah, this is planning too.
Okay.
And so I knew that I wanted to go to college. I had been getting information from this college for years. And so finally one day I got in the car and I drove to Atlanta, and with, at the time, my girlfriend. And we came to Atlanta, and the school was closed that day. And here's what I want any listener or viewer to see and hear now is anything that you want in life. If you live with pure intention and a good heart, it'll always come to you. And so I showed up at the school that day and the school was closed. And there was one car in the parking lot. And I was like, somebody's in there. So I go to the door. I'm like looking through and there's this guy in the hallway. And it ended up that he was the embalming instructor. And I flagged him down. And he came to the door and I said, hi, clearly you're closed today, but I'm Daniel and I want to go to college here. And we started talking. He gave me a tour. He was very gracious. And I said, where do the students live? I had only saved enough money to go the first 2 semesters. And there were no dorms there. I'd always heard about this college experience in dorms. There was no dorm life there.
Okay.
And he goes, you live in an apartment in Atlanta. And I'm thinking, I'm a small town boy.
Yeah.
I cannot afford an apartment in Atlanta. And so he says, you know what? There's a funeral home that just reached out this week that's looking for someone to intern. And you could live in the apartment there. So I knew in that moment that I was being divinely guided to where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And so I always throw this quote in my classes and lectures. I say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And in this situation, it literally happened with a real teacher. And so they got me into this funeral home. It was not like the funeral home that I worked at in South Carolina. It was old. And I went in, they hired me on the spot. I came home that Friday night and I told my mom that I had landed a job in Atlanta. She got very excited, but in our faith, our pastor makes all decisions. And so I went to the pastor's office that night and I asked him for permission to go to college and he denied. And I remember I was like, what? And so Saturday, the funeral home called me and asked me what was my decision. I said, I'm trying to work through some logistics right now. Sunday morning, I sat through service, always trained and taught to be obedient to the people that were our leaders or in charge of us. And so I sat there trying to be the good church-going person, and so I sat there. I was miserable. Sunday night, I went to the pastor's office and told him I had made the decision to go to college, and that went over like a lead balloon. He never said another word to me in that moment, and so I was actually excommunicated and shunned from my community and the church and everybody that I was ever allowed to talk to. So you want to talk about an awkward and a very, very painful time. So I came to Atlanta, Georgia, lived in a funeral home by myself with no friends. All the people that I had known, they couldn't talk to me. I couldn't talk to them. So this may sound like a sad story, but I'm going to tell you it's not.
Well, the good news is that we see this side of it and we know
And at the time I couldn't see in front of me. So anybody that's hearing, listening, or watching right now, understand that your path that you're on right now is okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Have faith and you're going to be fine. And so I worked in the funeral home and I was put into the funeral home exactly where I needed to be with the right people. And I was able to actually come into who I really was. I knew who I was all along, and I had hid that for so long. And so the day that I finally made the decision to stand in my truth, to stand in my power, and understand that my creator never created a mistake. And people will say that the creator that I believe in is limitless, but yet we think that he creates limited editions. And so we're not created limited. And so I started to believe in myself, and I was now developing relationships with people that I needed to be around that would help me navigate my faith, my spirituality, and who I was. And so the funeral home was a great place for me.
Did you have contact with your family at this time?
It was very spotty.
Okay. Yeah, you're truly alone at this point. I mean, you're in a new city. Like, do you remember any of those nights? Like, do you remember what going?
Crying.
Yeah.
Lonely. Heartbroken.
Yeah.
Thoughts of suicide.
I mean, thinking that like you're doing something wrong. Like, did you just question it constantly?
That God would punish me.
Yeah.
And now I know that that's so not the case.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was terrible. And, so my mom would reach out to me. My dad was always a quiet man. He was a gentleman. He was very quiet. My mom would reach out and she would sometimes write letters to me. And, as time went on that December, I let everyone know who I really was. I had already disappointed everybody by disobeying. And, so now I've let people know who I was. And So that was hard.
Do you think that had you not had the experience of being like shunned,
what else did I have to lose?
Right. I mean, do you think that actually, and again, like taking those moments in life where you think it's all over, but coming out to say that, like, looking back, it's easy to say
it was supposed to happen this way. It couldn't have happened any other way. And so my mom really had a hard time, and in the faith that they believe, because I had disobeyed the pastor, the beliefs were that I had been turned into who I am. Okay. And so I was like, no, I've been me all along. I just chose to live a different version of me to make you happy. Yeah. And so I found a lot of strength in that. And I often tell people whenever I'm teaching, I say there's only 2 ingredients in the entire world that will actually make you successful. One's inspiration. That's within. That's not motivation or desperation. And I'm going to tell you, friend, I was desperate. I didn't have any money. I had no connections. I lived in a funeral home making $6 an hour. I had my broke down Nissan Sentra that was missing hubcaps. Yeah. We had a bakery behind the funeral home. And I remember on Wednesdays, they would have a half price sale. And I would go to the bakery and load up on those. I don't even know what you call them, but like the little cinnamon pecan twirl things. They come 6 to a pack, and I would buy enough for a week. And that's what I lived on. Wow. And, but I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. You know, when I think back, I was like, my budget for food was like literally $5 a week. Wow. And so I learned how to live on a budget. I learned how to live independently. I learned to love who I was. So life is awesome. Who was your connection at that time? Who is somebody that was present? We had, there were 2 guys that worked in the funeral home with me. One was Chad, and then the other one was Chad. So one went by his initials, and the other Chad. So there was young Chad and older Chad. One was 24, one was 27, and I was 19. And they, ironically, were like me. Okay. They were like me. Wow. So like you said, you really ended up where you needed to be. And so the older Chad was actually married to a guy that was a Baptist minister. And so I was able to place the whole theologian aspect of study. And so it was something that actually tormented me because I was so worried based on how I had been raised. I was really wrong. And I didn't want to be, you know, and I know people have their own opinions, but until you walked in my shoes, you can't make assessments. I can't judge your life because I've never walked in your shoes. Right. But, you know, so. But that's such a rare relationship. So for you to end up there. I was with, like, exactly where I needed to be. Yeah. I mean, that's just incredible that that's where you landed. So they were there for you and they really helped you. 100%. Yeah. You know, and it took a while for me to tell them who I was. They knew. Yeah. If you met me, you knew. But they were like, I wondered when you were ever going to be true to yourself. And I remember the day of what that felt like. And so, you know, so many people live in a closet. You know, it's deemed on my community, but so many people live in a closet. Absolutely. You know, there's thoughts and feelings and skeletons in everybody's closet. And sometimes the people that they're the quickest to point are the ones that have the largest pile of skeletons. And I've learned that too. So I just try to love everybody the way that I want to be loved. So let me ask you if you had, because I know you are surrounded by so many people and so many people come into your path, which I think is such a gift because I think that you're able to really like help people in a short amount of time. So even if people are just taking a class with you, I've talked to so many people. This is why I can say this because not only have I experienced this with you, but I've seen people in class with you. I've talked to people after and it's just something about you that is different. And I don't know how to pinpoint those things or what it, you know, really and truly is, but you're able to do that in such a quick way. And so I think that, you know, if somebody was to come to a class or somebody is going through something similar right now, what would you share with them? What advice would you give them? No matter what the struggle is. I mean, there's so many people that are facing violence, abuse. Yeah. There's so much. And I think even, you know, just the, you know, people not being supportive of a career, it can be something as simple as, you know, somebody's fighting you. People don't want you to become a hairstylist because it's a non-rewarding career. Yeah. You should have gone to real college. Somebody in that place of where you were, what can you tell them? Follow your heart. Follow your heart. And when I say follow your heart, always guide yourself with principles and with character. So follow your heart, but make sure that it's going to enhance the lives of other people. When we focus Listen, when we focus on us too much, we wind up being miserable. I often question people. I'm like, okay, and right now, think about this for yourself. Who do you know right now that's miserable? Every day they're miserable.
Mm-hmm.
They're grumpy, they're angry, they're anxiety ridden, not from a chemical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're
Yeah.
just, they choose.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of that person?
Absolutely.
How many people do they serve?
Yeah, it's about them.
Think of somebody right now that is wonderful. They're happy. They're grateful. They're empowered.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have someone?
Yep.
Who do they serve?
Tons of people. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your dream and desire is, follow it. But make sure that you're not the hero of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never be the hero of the story.
Yeah.
That can go on your tombstone. The hero of the story are the people that you're helping.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to be a hairdresser, I never knew being a hairdresser would allow me financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that it would allow me to lead 60 plus team members
Mm-hmm.
to financial freedom. I never knew that I would stand on stages all over the world, literally, and guide people, not even just in our industry, you know? I never thought these. I'm shy. It's funny. Like, I'll talk to you, but standing up on a stage and you have 10,000 people in the audience and they're staring at you,
Mm-hmm.
your heart's pounding. You feel like you're going to be sick. And you're like, in your mind, you're like, what do they think about me?
Yeah.
That's the first thing you think of. Am I
Yeah.
going to mess up? I've fallen off stages before. I was in Wisconsin. Yeah.
No.
3 years ago, I literally couldn't see. The lights were so bright. And I literally like walked off the stage. Luckily, I landed on my feet. The first couple rows were like,
No.
they're like, did you fall? I'm like, did I? Or did I change elevation? You know? So I played into it. But you could literally cripple your entire life based off of, what are they going to think about me?
Yeah.
But I leave anybody with this. We live our lives in fear or potential paralysis because we're fearful of what people think about us. What will they think about what we say or what we do or how we live or the house we live in or the car we drive or who we marry? Or people judge all the time. But here's what I say. We are so worried about people liking us. I turn the question around to everybody else. How many of you actually like yourselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why am I worried about somebody that doesn't like me
Yeah.
or what I do when I know the majority of the population don't like themselves?
Yeah.
Why do we do Botox?
It's so true.
Why do we color our hair? I mean, it's our
Mhm.
business, but why do we try to look a certain way or drive a certain car or carry the certain bag? Why do we carry Starbucks? We all want to fit in. We all want to belong.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always going to be a tribe and a group for you, but you have to live in your truth.
Yeah.
You have to live in your truth. And your people will always be there to rally for you.
So where did this start with you? Like, where did the giving back, helping? When is your first
Oh.
memory of serving? Not like not like a required serving to get some
I've
sort
always-
of reward. It's just been like a
I've
natural
always,
thing
my
for
parents
you.
raised me there. I'm so grateful for my parents. If we lived in a small community town, and if somebody passed away, there would be like somebody that would go around to every house and take it. Everybody was poor.
Yeah.
$10 from this person, 10 from that one, and we would buy a flower for the person that passed away. We just always did stuff. When I told you about working or volunteering, going to the nursing homes,
Mhm.
planting flowers,
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Giving back has always been something important to me, but I'll tell you when it really started and kicked in. I was 20, I think I was 22 years old, and I was an assistant. I was an apprentice. Let's rewind that, because I didn't go to beauty school.
Yeah.
I didn't have the funds for that or the
Mhm.
opportunity, but so I had made some extra money that week, and I had paid all my bills, and I had done everything, and I'd always been taught through our faith to give 10% back. Now, I no longer belong to a religious affiliation because I was not, and most of the time still am not welcomed. So I still have to hold to my values and principles. So I'm like, I have to give 10% back. I don't have to. I'm blessed to give 10% back.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Sunday morning, and I wrote a letter to my aunt and uncle. I knew they were in a very hard time. Their health was failing, and they were in a horrible financial situation. So I had an extra $150, and I wrote the check for $150, and I wrote in the letter, it was something like, I love you guys. I wanted to bless you guys this week. I had some additional money. I hope this helps you buy groceries or medications, whatever you might need.
Okay. Can I ask, without putting them on the spot, are these people
They're past now.
Are these people that had supported you though? Like,
No.
okay. So,
No.
okay. So, yeah.
Quite the opposite.
Okay.
Mhm. And that's okay. You still do the right thing.
Yeah.
Always show up and do the right thing.
Asked. It doesn't matter. A big move.
It doesn't matter. You're called to serve people. We're called to live and love in greatness, period. It doesn't matter who the people are. Yeah. If they treat you badly, that's on them. We're to be the greater good in the world.
Well, that's a message that I think we really need to get out more.
It needs to be
That's
everywhere.
a highlight on this.
And it not just a message. People need to live it.
Yeah.
Don't say it, live it.
Yes.
And so I wrote this check to my aunt and uncle. And it was literally the very next week, I had a day in the salon. It was Cinco de Mayo. And it was the 6th, the day after. The lady that I was training under called in. She had serious food poisoning. Oh, no. And she had a full book. Now, at that time, I didn't have a license and was not legally allowed to charge, but I could take gratuity. Bobbi, I took home $1,500 that Saturday.
Wow.
Exactly tenfold over what I had given.
Yeah.
It validated that we're supposed to give back.
Yeah.
And when you give, you don't give to get. You give because you can. And so I've always believed in that. And so since then, I could tell you so many stories, from homeless people to foster children to whatever it is that we've been able to help and fund. The money always comes back. Last year, our salon was closed. We donate one clinical trial every year back to pediatric childhood cancer. We didn't have the money that we could donate because our salon was closed. And so we stepped out on faith and we used those big shiny Amexes that we have. And we donated a certain amount of money to this organization. I promise you with my right hand and all things around me, that I went into my closet, which I go into twice a day to get dressed or undressed. And I had been rotating these 3 pairs of shorts that were super comfortable because we all were wearing stretchy clothes during that time.
Yes.
That exact amount of money was in a bank envelope between 2 pairs of shorts that I had.
Wow.
It was not a small amount of money. I don't keep money in my home. I remember running downstairs. Jody was on the Peloton and I was like, look at this. And he's like, what is it? And I told him how much money it was. And he goes, where'd you get that from? I was like, I have no idea.
Wow.
I'm paranoid of germs. So no one was in my house.
Yeah.
And so just time and time again, I could tell you so many stories, but just know if you follow your heart and you live the way you're supposed to live, everything's going to come your way. And there's so much abundance. We have to ask ourselves, do I choose to live in an abundant mindset or a scarcity mindset? So many people live in scarcity. It's like, oh, there's not enough hair clients to go around the salon, or there's too many salons in this area.
Yeah.
That scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
I was promised early on that if I ask for it, I should receive it.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah. I think that exactly what you just said just really holds a lot of people back. Like, I think people can make excuses for why they don't want to start the business, go into this one, go into that, go into whatever industry. That actually is something that I hadn't really considered as like something that really will strike. But yeah, that mindset of having like, oh, there's enough hairdressers. How am I going to get clients? Or there's already this salon doing this.
You have
so
people waiting for you right now that you've never even met.
Yes.
You have viewers right now that want to view you or listen. You've never met.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's so true. And I align so much with that of the giving back. I think this industry is incredible for it. So I think that
great
ending
people.
up in this industry was not in my plan ever. So the fact that I ended up in this and it is an industry that is so it allows you to give back so much and allows you to give. And I think it's, it's definitely the thing that probably connected us and is probably the reason that we're sitting here even talking today, is because there's there's so many people that want to help. I would say 20 times in a week, I'm hearing, I want to do this because I want to help people. I want to make people feel good.
Then they're in it for the right reason.
Exactly. And it is the giving back and helping. And you are so lucky to be able to do it not only on a client level where you started, then as a salon owner. So you're leading a team of people that you're able to give back to. I know we were talking about a meeting this morning.
It was so fun.
that you got to have and that you got to do. And then now it's a literal worldwide thing.
It is.
So,
it's so cool.
I want to ask you all of this, where you are in this exact moment of, Daneil Mason-Jones and this, 800 jobs, 800 things that you're doing.
I do have some
all
jobs.
All the different things. Was any of this, do you ever have a moment that you stop and you're like, I can't believe this is my life. I can't believe that I'm doing this. I can't believe that this is happening.
Have you ever heard of someone that maybe had been one size and they lost a lot of weight?
Mm-hmm.
And when they go shopping, they continue to buy the same size clothes?
Yes. Yes.
It's
Is
no
that just
different.
how you feel?
I'm still the same kid
Mhm.
from South Carolina that I always was.
Yeah.
You know, we were able to help somebody from school. We weren't friends in school. They needed help. I saw it on Facebook. People weren't jumping to help, and I was able to, so I did. She sent me a message and she goes, I'm so proud to know that you've had the experiences in life that you've had
Mhm.
to become who you've become, which I still am questioning who I've even become, and who I will become, because I'm still trying my best to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, I love that you've kept your feet on the ground. And I laughed at it. And I was like, where else would I put them? I live on earth with you. Like, you know,
Yeah.
just stay humble.
Yeah.
Stay humble. As quickly as we climb, you can fall down just as fast.
Yeah.
And all the people, you know, people will step on people to get to where they want to be sometimes. It's taken me a long time to get to where I am. I've seen people go a lot faster. But I read a quote one time that says, you know, you can go fast, you can go slow, but I choose to go slowly because it's heavier.
Mhm.
You're imagine climbing with a bag. You're carrying integrity with you.
Yeah.
So I would rather climb slow and steady to wherever I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm happy where I am, but I always want more.
I think
And-
that's a really important message for, I don't want to like just say like only young people are struggling
For
with this, because
everybody.
I think we all have this motive to just run as fast as we can. The culture that we
Mhm.
are raised in, I think especially like our generation of like, you just work as hard as you can and as much as you can and like all of those things, which I think definitely has value.
Mhm.
But understanding that it is not instant gratification is something that I just really feel like, I don't know if it's more present because I'm working with younger people all the time. You know, I'm in that
Maybe.
age group that I see it a lot,
Yeah.
but that's a really hard concept,
Mhm.
I think, to like, or something that we all need to be like, you know, recognizing that it's not,
Totally.
you're not going to get to long continued success by being the fastest. And I like that you said, you've seen people do this faster than you. It's
Way
hard
faster.
not to envy that. It's hard
No.
not to watch that on social media. It's in our face all the time. It's hard not to have those, like that jealousy,
But
you know,
people
of
on
it.
social media, I'm on social media.
Mhm.
I have a big social media following.
You do. Yeah.
Can I tell you a secret? I don't ever post my bad haircuts.
It's true.
I don't ever post the day that
Yes.
my staff member quit.
Yes.
I don't post the day that the hot water heater stops working or the dryer blew
Mhm.
up, or I don't post that. I only allow you to see what I want you to see.
Yeah.
So it'd be crazy to try to compare your life to somebody else's
Yeah.
life. I'm not showing you everything. I
Yeah.
only show you what I want you to see.
I think we've seen a change over the last, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years of like body positivity. And
Yeah.
we're seeing people that look different on commercials. And so there's a lot of growth there.
Mhm.
I think that there still is always going to be that, oh, well, I should be driving this car. I should be wearing these clothes. Like you said, like there's always going to be that in the back of your mind. I think it's so important to
Yeah.
stop and just be happy with where you are. I feel like I am so guilty of this,
Mhm.
where I'll be like, I'm so thinking of the next thing, the next day, the next minute, the next hour. Like, what are we doing next and where are we going? That I really don't stop to say, oh, but look at how far I've come.
Yeah.
But look at where we are in this exact moment. Like, had I given up on everything as many times as I wanted to, we wouldn't be here in your house doing this, you know? And so like taking those wins, I think, is important to you. So
You have to.
over the last, I don't know, 2 years, I'll say, because I've been along with you on this journey, I would say, for that time that I've been watching you in this. What are your highlights from this time? What are your like wins?
My biggest win is that I have a husband that adores me,
Mhm.
right? 21 years.
And he's amazing.
He is.
I love that I got to meet him today.
We have a beautiful child
Mhm.
and we're all healthy. That's the biggest wins.
Mhm.
That's actually amazing. We have family that love us. We're surrounded by really great friends.
Mhm.
So that's the big wins. I get to do what I love for a career. How cool is that? You know, I'm a hairdresser. I've been cutting hair, coloring hair for a long time. I'm now starting to look to the next chapter of what I'll do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that I'm going to stop doing hair right away, but I won't do this forever.
Yeah.
And I have to, now's the time that I have to place my trust in bigger things. Understand that I'm called to this earth to do bigger things. And I've been given 4 decades of life, 2 decades of incredible business experience. And I need to use my voice and the platform that I've been given now to empower more people. You know, there's, again, I said earlier, domestic violence. There's so many people in our industry that are living in homes that are unsafe.
Yeah.
You know, they're scared. These women are scared to go home at night. And, which is sad. Their children are growing up in that. And there's sex trafficking, which is a huge thing for us. Hairdressers, we're on the front lines of that. We should know, we should all be trained to do more than balayage.
Yep.
We should be able to read the cues to know that if somebody comes into the salon and the adult that's bringing the child in is really dressed nicely and this kid looks like they're a little disheveled, there's a red flag.
Right.
There's so many things that we as hairdressers have responsibility to do that's bigger than us. And so I'm grateful for that. As I jump into the next chapter, I really want to bring more awareness to those things, but I also want to show hairdressers what can be, what is possible. You know, there's a lot of people that talk the talk.
Yeah.
You're sitting in my home right now. I'm thankful and I'm blessed to have what I have. It's been a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I've sacrificed 2 decades of friends, health. I can't tell you the last time that I ever just went out anywhere on the weekend. I come home and I bury my face in a book or a podcast. I'm growing and I'm learning.
Yeah.
You know, while I see people having fun, and I could do that and I may regret it one day, but right now I don't.
Yeah.
I've never I'm not really a party person anyway.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we have to be looking, we have to be grateful for what we have, but we have to strive for more.
Yeah.
So that we don't become complacent. We weren't created. Michael Jordan said it best. He says, I was not put here to be mediocre, and nor were you.
Yeah. And I think that understanding that this isn't forever, that you're not stuck in a place. I feel like people really feel stuck a lot. Walk me through what your process is as you are starting new adventures, starting new businesses, starting new things. What does that look like for you? Are you like kind of slow to make changes, slow to take action?
Yeah.
You know, you saying that you have like you're always working on different projects and doing things differently. And I know that in those moments of change, whether that would be to ever step away from behind the chair or, you know, which I know has happened with the more that you're traveling and stuff, you've had to adjust.
Yeah.
Those uncomfortable moments are really challenging and are really hard. And I don't know that there's a lot of guidance out there for just, you have that feeling in your stomach, something feels wrong and you just feel like this thing that has felt comfortable for so long just doesn't feel like that anymore. Or maybe you're in a salon that doesn't feel right anymore. Something's off. Talk a little bit about that. What does that feel like for you, or how do you manage that?
I think self-awareness is something that so few people have.
Yeah,
right. Just think about that. Like, people aren't self-aware. I know, like, I can listen to my gut or whatever. I can listen to that and know that it's time to move. You know, I know when to pivot, and I think you constantly have to pivot. So yeah, in the beginning, I was known as the Updo Guru. Oh my gosh, I could do an updo all day long. Quick. Yeah. I was the fastest in the game, and actually the best in the game.
Because of all the practice.
Because how I grew up.
Yeah.
The women wear their hair up. So I naturally, I had seen it for years. And so I was good at that. And I was like, I don't want to just do up hair. Like, I need to be a colorist and a cutter.
Like, you just started not liking. Like, it started just...
I still love it.
Yeah.
But it was like, I just got tired of prom, homecoming, wedding, bat mitzvah. Like, it was all these things. Yeah. And so I became known as a really good colorist. And so I've done color now for I cut and color. I do everything because I would get very bored. Very bored. But I did that. And then I started into education. And so I started with L'Oreal Professional as an educator 16, almost 17 years ago with cutting. And then I went into color. They allowed me to switch over, which was nice. But I found myself, every time I would go into a salon, people would ask me, is it true that you make X amount of dollars behind the chair? Do you really see 25, 30 clients a day? Yes, I do. And so people that didn't understand that, or couldn't understand that, I would break it down like, this is how I do it, you know? And so I found that every time I was going to a salon to teach color or style, I was teaching a business class.
Okay.
And so what I say to you or to anybody right now, the questions that you're asked most frequently is what your brand really is. So when I teach a branding class, I say to people, I'm like, what do you think a brand is? And they're like, oh, it's my logo or it's my color. No, your brand is what somebody identifies you as when you're not in the room. That's your brand.
Yeah.
So I'm often like, you should ask the people around you, what do you see me as? What do you think my wheelhouse is? And so it was business. It was business. It was business. And so I remember there was one year as a hairdresser, and I know I'm probably going to get some jaw drops or some disbelief, but I will go ahead and address that before. This is something you learn as a speaker and educator. Only the people that will respond negatively are the people that can't see bigger than where they are. And for those people, I wish you the best.
Yeah.
But I remember the year that I got to $850,000 a year behind my chair, not as a salon owner, not as anything else. And so I talked to one of my friends. I was like, hey, I did in confidence. I was like, I did $850,000 this year behind my chair as a hairdresser. And the response I got was not the one that I wanted. I wanted a pat on the back.
Right. Yeah.
I heard on the other end of the phone, do $1 million.
Wow.
Guess what I did?
You did $1 million.
I did $1 million. And so I've done that every year now. I've gotten up to 1-2 so far.
Wow.
Behind the chair. And I'm now 3 days a week behind the chair. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And people are probably, thinking, well, you must charge $1,000. I don't. My average ticket's around $237, $240. I do track my numbers. I think that's another fatal mistake for our industry. People talk about how much they're making. I'm making all this money. I'm my own, whatever. And nobody knows their numbers.
Yeah.
Nobody knows their numbers. I'm like, so if I ask you, what is your average service ticket? They're like, well, I think thinking isn't the number.
Yeah.
What is your average retail ticket? Well, I think thinking isn't the number. You have to, I track my numbers every single day. I know what I've done this week. I've worked 2 days so far this week. I'll go in and work tomorrow. I'll finish out the week around $15,000, $16,000 in 3 days behind the chair. And I pumped the brakes because I had shadowers in the salon. So in our salon, we allow people to come in to see actually how we do things.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, in fact, we had 2 really wonderful ladies that came in from Michigan to see how we operate our business. And so I slowed the books down, but there's just so many opportunities. And it's like, don't copy other people in the industry. Create your own path. Create your own path. I had to get outside of our industry to see where I wanted to be. So I went to Disney. I went to Disney Institute, Ritz-Carlton trainings. I've been to so many various trainings outside of our industry because, quite honestly, if we keep copying each other in our industry,
you're not going to grow.
It's so boring, right? Like, I needed to find another way to do this better. And you were downstairs in my office earlier, and you saw, what do I have? A lot of books.
Yes. Yeah. And not just beauty industry books.
You didn't see one book on beauty.
Yeah.
They're all business.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite things about the salon today, and just getting like inside the mind of Daneil Mason-Jones.
Get in here.
I loved that you were like, so we started, we adapted, made these changes to the salon because we started seeing, and I'm like, that's what you have to do. And that goes back to that self-awareness. What's happening around you? Who are you serving? Who you're and then just adapt to that. It doesn't have to be that I just spent, $2 million on this remodel and I have the nicest stations. Okay, well, all of that stuff, great, matters.
If you don't have customer service,
right.
Who cares?
And so for you to be forward thinking enough to be like, this is what I actually need. I think that's so valuable. And
you have to
great.
pivot everywhere and often. Yeah. I think that's the true. A true leader in real business is you have to be able to pivot anytime. I could pivot off topic here and talk about churches, but remember how churches used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
They were you saw all the business and everything. Yeah. And now there's children's area ministries and there's adult ministries. They have coffee bars. Yeah. They needed to captivate a new audience. Even if you go to a movie theater back in the day, I don't go to movies, but the movie theaters back in the day were just this boring thing with a seat that folded out and there was dirty popcorn on the floor and probably some rats under your chair.
Yes.
But now it's this dining experience with wine and everything has evolved. I don't eat fast food, but I have seen McDonald's where you can order your own food on a touch screen. McDonald's got it. Disney's got it. They have the fast passes. You tap the thing. Everybody's changing. And we think as hairdressers, we need to keep doing what mama and granny and whomever else, what they've done over these decades.
Right.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to implement digital. You have to have social. You have to have cameras and ring lights and boxes. You have to have this now.
Yeah.
It's no longer, I can just be a hairdresser. It's a full rounded scope of things. And as a business leader, you know, I would be very naive to think that anybody wants to work a 40-hour work week anymore. So I've pivoted my company. People work 12 hours a week, 15 hours a week, 18 hours a week. I have people that work 36 hours a week, like one. But I needed to navigate and pivot. In order for me to have a business, I have to meet the needs of not only the consumer, I have to meet the needs of my team. And, you know, with that came, I needed to provide health insurance for my team. I wanted to give them retirement plans. One of my favorite topics to discuss, because it hits a nerve, is all the industry talks about how much money they make, but nobody's retiring. So we're talking this big game, but there's no money there and you can't retire. So, you know, we just went through in our next team celebration in December, our financial advisors coming in. But right this very minute, in 9 years in our company, we've contributed $2.2 million to our team's retirement. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Nobody will leave my company and say, I couldn't retire. I'm not going to permit that.
It's so true that in this industry, it just very much like you have people that are like, well, this is just how we do it. I'm talking with salons right now about like just being connected in the beauty school world and what the students want. So I'm seeing it as a change of like, oh, okay, this is changing in beauty school. Well, this is who our next generation of stylists are. So
and you better be ready.
What do they need and what do they want? Yeah, if you're going to keep employees, I think we were talking earlier about, you know, a salon that had a bunch of people working for them and now they have a few people working for them. And that falls back on leadership. And again, I think just not being able to pivot. If we're stuck in these structures, I've talked to salons for years about changing associate programs. And why ours
to make them quicker.
Right. And I'm taking that completely off of not ever going through an associate program or not owning a salon that has one.
But you know the needs.
But listening to the students. And when they're coming in and saying, when I'm saying, where do you want to go to work? What are you interested in? They'll be like, well, you know, I want this or I don't want that. And then feeding that to the salon owners. It's very much, I will say, like more times than not, it's that they don't want to change. No, well, this is how long it is. And we just don't want. Well, what's happening now is those same salons are coming to us saying, okay, we want to sit down and talk with some students about what they're looking for.
Exactly.
And it's like, instead of fighting it for 2 years, you know, pivot.
Exactly.
Because you're only wasting time.
If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is, definitely something that I see changing. I think people are definitely becoming more open-minded to change, but there's also not just like one way that works for everybody. Awesome that in this industry, every salon gets to
create culture,
their own thing and their own space. And like, I know that there's certain students that are going to fit at this salon when they wouldn't, like if I sent them to you, like you would be like, Bobbi, what are you doing to me?
Exactly.
And that person would be like, no, this is not what I want. But there is a place out there for you.
There's a place and a person for everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, one of the other, the downfalls of our industry is when it comes down to branding your company and culture, you're putting pictures all over your social media pages of hair. I can't tell what your culture is like. You were in my salon this morning. What was the culture like?
Incredible. Amazing.
Was it sad or weepy?
No. Oh my gosh. Opposite.
Were we playing Duran Duran on the radio?
No.
You know, that's our culture. And our culture doesn't fit everyone. Our culture, you know, we are an elite group of hairdressers. I always say, I want to hire Olympians in my salon. I want Olympians. An Olympian is somebody that trains their entire life for their skill, and then they make it, and then they keep training. That's an Olympian. That's who I want in my company. I don't want a hobby hairdresser, a vocational hairdresser, somebody that's playing beauty shop. I want people that are in it to win the game.
Yeah. That
can work really well around other people and that sees a vision bigger than themselves, because after all, we do need each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely our brand and our salon.
And I think that it's so evident, and just like walking around and seeing so many different people today. We're in masks, so we couldn't see each other smiling, right? But we've learned with eyes that they're smiling, and everyone in there just smiled at me and was so sweet and so nice. And I think that that's just something, that's the culture you've created. I asked you when we were recording, I was like, oh, I have a question for you. What is your uniform?
Oh, yeah.
Because everyone is in very similar attire, different, cute themselves. Like you can totally tell that it's their different styles.
From Doc Martens to heels.
Yes. Yeah. But your answer to me was, we don't have a uniform, but everyone seemed to fall into place, into what you would want to create. And
that falls back on the leader.
Yeah.
The leader speed of the leader is always going to be the speed of the game. So what you establish, again, back to culture, when you're hiring the right people, when the right people are being attracted to your company, you don't have all these issues. I'm not going to bring somebody in and change who they are. I celebrate who you are. I didn't want somebody to change who I was, and I'm certainly not going to do it to you. But these are our guidelines. These are our principles. These are our core values of the company. We love, we serve, we give, period. And so everything else falls into place. And as I brought you into my private office in the salon, I share with you that we don't manage people inside of our salon. I will never manage a person. That is so outdated. It's archaic. It's weird. We lead people to success. We show them the systems, and the systems manage them. It's very easy. And I'm in that same system. I'm a hairdresser. If I don't perform X, Y, Z, then I don't get the result that I need. That's that easy. And so we're hairdressers. People overcomplicate the systems. There's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. You had a triangle on your board, which Rob and I were talking about, because I'm like, I want to ask, I want to ask him, what are your 3 words that you would use? What do I want to do at home? To have that as well. So tell me your 3 words that were on your triangle, and what those mean in your salon. So in our salon, it's the golden triangle. And if it doesn't satisfy the team, the guest, or the company, we can't do it. We cannot do it. We have the same philosophy right here in my house. So if it doesn't, if my son comes home and says, hey, I want to stay up to 10 o'clock tonight, how is that going to serve this family? You're going to be cranky tomorrow morning. You're not going to want to get up. You're going to be cranky tonight. And what are we going to be doing at 10 o'clock at night? You're a baby. So, there's nothing good that's going to come out of that. So if there's one no in that, then it's a no. It's a hard no. Yeah. And so we have to meet the needs of each other. And so that's how my team show up. It's no different than a sporting event. If I were playing soccer and the goalie's over here playing on their phone and the opposing team's kicking the ball, so we all have to be eyes and ears for each other all the time. And that's really how we show up for each other. So that's why you felt what you felt in the company, and how you saw everybody like hanging out together, friendly, chummy. Like when I say I didn't want to leave, like I'm like, should we stop by like on the way back, on the way out? Like everyone just like had this warm invite. And for me, and like feeling like giving off that energy so much, it was so awesome to feel that. And it could be, you would think coming to Atlanta, a city. Yeah. A big salon with a high-end salon. Yes. It could have been a totally different vibe. Absolutely. It could have been pretentious. Yes. It could have been cold. And honestly, had it been that, I probably would have just been like, it's a high-end salon. So that's what you expect. We're almost like trained to think that that's okay. Yeah, and it's not. Like okay. You shouldn't feel that. And especially, like I said, I hold you to this like, celebrity status. And I just think the world of you, no pressure at all. No, but I mean, if that would have been the way, I probably, when we left, like would have been like, it just is like that, because that's the call. But it wasn't. Yeah. It was so opposite of that. We spend most of our time at work. Yeah. Why not be happy there? No, it's so true. And I think that that's just so much speaks to you and Jody. And we have people that come in that they either come into the culture, they adapt to the culture, or they simply don't fit the culture. Yeah. And I talk about this all the time. I'm like, the people in our cultures, in our families, in our relationships, in our whatever, it's just like a tree. There's the root, this always. There's the limbs that could last a decade, but they might break. and there's the leaves that change with the season. So you have to understand in your culture, in your company, that not everybody's there forever. And that some people add value. You know, right now the fall leaves are beautiful and they're adding beauty to the landscape, but they're only going to last a couple of weeks. But right now they're beautiful. So enjoy what you have in front of you while it's there.
Yeah.
You know, they're adding value in that moment. You're adding value in that moment. So we just have to look at everything. There's another quote. Clearly, you know that I read a lot and I love quotes. But when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so we have to learn to put on a different set of glasses to view life.
Yeah.
Life is not complicated.
It's not.
It's really not.
It can be fun and light and
it is
just
fun.
like a good time. Yeah. Has there been a moment in your career time? I mean, there's moments of being an employer that are really challenging. Being a leader, being really challenging. What can you speak to as far as kind of having your heart broken to somebody that you've given so much to, that you almost feel like, I deserve more. You shouldn't have done this to me. Look at all this that I gave you and you left. Can you talk to me a little? I don't think we've ever talked about this. I don't think we've ever had this conversation.
So funny you're having this conversation, because one of our mutual friends has reached out to me just yesterday morning about this very topic.
Okay.
And they're going through it. And so you still do the right thing. You still do the right thing. Karma, universe, God, whatever you believe in will reward you or could correct you. And so does it hurt when somebody leaves that you've poured into? It's awful.
Yeah.
Because it's hard not to take it personally. We're in a business where we care about who. It's not corporate. They're not numbers. These are people. So yes, we have poured into people. We had one stylist leave us during the pandemic. One. And out of 60 people, that's not bad.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we had one. We lost some associates. That was fine, but we lost one stylist. And the personality changed. And sometimes people will on their way out, and you see this in relationships too. Somebody wants to break up with somebody or call it off. They start to treat the other person badly. And so this person was never this way before, and they started to show up in a different way. And I was like, I told Jody, I said, something's up.
You knew it. Like you felt it. You knew. Yeah.
I'm an empath, so I can feel that. And I was like, I just wish, people leave. I left, right? I left a salon, but I did it gracefully. And I thanked the leaders of the company, and I worked my 2-week notice, and they allowed the 2-week notice. And there was no animosity, and they threw a party, and I got flowers, and it was amazing. I have nothing bad to say about them. They grew me. They have nothing bad to say about me. I helped them. So it was just time to go. Their salon was going to be closing. I had heard rumor of it, and I asked them. And so mine was a unique situation. But I've had stylists leave our salon. We had 2 young ladies that left at the same time. And one was my associate. I had just taken her on a trip to, we went to Madrid, $10,000 it cost me to take her. And she came back, and she knew she was leaving me while she was on the trip. And so that one stung a little bit. But she has her own salon now. And I look at this, she no longer belonged in our company. We no longer could serve her. She could no longer serve us. If I really got down to it, if I take ego and I take pride, I take all that away, she was no longer there to serve us, and we were no longer there to serve her. Did it hurt? Whew. And I was mad. I was.
Yeah.
But I've grown since then. I've grown since then, and you grow with every lesson in life. And so she has a very successful salon now here in this town, and I'm proud of her. And, it is what it is. Everybody that comes, if you're a salon owner and you're listening, I love you. I'm sending you all
those are your people.
All the love. Really, but I'll say to you, everybody that comes to you will leave you. Everybody that comes to you will leave you. Whether they move, they pass away, they quit. They're there 20 years, 20 minutes. Everyone that comes through your doors will leave your doors. So just embrace that. And it's like an investment account. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You have to diversify.
Do you keep a wall up? Do you keep like a limit? Like, are you like, okay, I know this is going to happen. I know
right now that I have 2 girls leaving in January.
Wait,
I know right now.
Okay. And you're just...
And I celebrated both of them today in our team celebration.
I mean, that's so hard.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you know something awesome? I've got 4 young ladies that are waiting for chairs in my company.
Yeah.
So life
it's just what you're going to focus
works.
on. It's what you're going to look at, especially in your business. I mean, I think like we talked about, it's not just beauty industry and where
it's every industry.
It's every industry.
You know, statistics actually show traditionally and prior to COVID and pandemic that you lose 10% of your staff every year. But now the number I'm gonna say, this isn't factual. I don't know, but I'm gonna guess that now every business will lose 20% of their employees every year. You know, where it was 10. We have sped up life. You know, the pandemic brought everything, production, technology, augmented reality, artificial intelligence. It expedited everything by an entire like decade from where we were. So we're going to see things that we've never seen before. So we have to be vigilant. We have to be out there waiting and ready to go for what's to be next because it's coming and to celebrate it. It is what it is. Listen, you and I are going to die one day. Who cares? It is what it is. Be nice, be good, be thankful, and it'll all work out.
Yeah.
Promise.
I love that. So I had a special moment with you a little bit ago that we were able to see something that you had made when you were a kid.
Gosh.
Because I think that one of the things that I've learned from you is manifestation. And something we've talked a lot about is just like being that person that like truly believes that that you can have anything that you want.
Anything that you want.
And if you can just like commit to working on a goal and like staying on track like that, it
and
will
believe.
Come. Yeah. So we're here in your gorgeous house. And I hate to put you on the spot, but I was going to ask if you'd be able to kind of share or talk about what you showed me.
It's kind of funny. So not everything in the photo came to fruition.
Yes.
But so I was in 8th grade. Now you've been through my whole home here today. And you see that I'm not a hoarder. So I'm going to put that disclaimer out there. I don't have anything laying around. And I don't know why I saved this folder, but I saved this folder. So this folder was from my 8th grade. So I was 14 years old and I was not a very good artist, if I'm telling the truth. And so here's
it's actually, now that I know that this was 8th grade, I actually feel like it's pretty good.
I was a Jones before I married. Now I'm a Mason-Jones. People think my last name is Mason-Jones and it's not.
Yeah.
Or my middle name's Mason-Jones. I'm like, no. It's so... I have all these terrible renderings of things in here, but this particular image that I'm going to show is kind of funny. And I kind of want to cover up part of it because the drawing is so hideous. But it's not about the drawing. It's about the actual home. And maybe, I don't know, I've never shown anybody my home publicly. But I grew up really humble. And the homes where I'm from, you know, if you had a ranch style home that had brick on it, that was true success. And there weren't many of those people in town. I remember I was actually 16 years old the first time I ever went into a 2-story house and saw stairs. It would blew my mind. I was like, these people are rich.
I know. Do you remember having a moment like steps upstairs?
I'm like, you were rich.
Yes.
And so it wasn't just a drawing. I don't know what this art would even be called, but it was a project. And so I did this house. And the crazy thing is when we look at this house, you probably see some similarities. So I live in this house now. So ignore the drawing of me and my wife, which, by the way, had on a mini skirt. Totally would go against everything that we believed. But even the dog, which is somewhere behind me, this is my dog.
Yeah.
It's a Cavalier King Charles. I didn't know what a Cavalier King Charles was.
See hang on. I didn't look at the shirt.
Clearly I don't work out either.
You were rocking a gold gem shirt in this picture. Do you know what I'm getting you? You understand you're going to have a Gold's Gym shirt. It's like I will be hand delivering.
I have been into one of those one time.
Yes.
Clearly I was trying to project what people thought that I should be moving forward. So ignore the bottom portion of this. But this is the house that I created when I was in 8th grade. And you all saw the driveway that I have. There's one driveway that drives through a part of our home here. And then there's a circle driveway here. And then the porte-cochere in the main house. So granted, the house that we're in now is white. It is the same exact shape of home. It is the same driveway. And I literally have, we'll cover her up. I have this dog just behind us here in the interview. So I say all of that, and forgive me for my terrible artwork. I say all of that to say there is nothing you can't have. And sometimes things don't come when you expect them to come. But if you believe, they will always come.
Yeah. Well, I love it. It's so beautiful. It's so you and so incredible. And I'm just so thankful for this time I started our day, like
so
showing
awesome.
gratitude to you. And I can't, this has just been such a dream and a highlight for us for sure. I mean, for Beauty and Style, like it's a really big deal. And I think I was telling my husband on the way down that like, I just feel like these moments are things that we're going to be like, oh yeah, and remember that. And remember that led to this. And I just think it's all so awesome. And what you do for this industry is incredible. I don't know, I hope I'm not offending anyone, but I don't know a lot of people that have touched as many lives as you have, changed as many lives as you have.
And they've all touched mine.
We could have talked for another 4 hours about the amazingness and the things that you've done. To help everybody. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful for this time and I can't wait to see what you do next and all the love that you're going to show coming forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you for today. It was amazing. And thanks for coming to Atlanta.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Anytime.